Hello there and welcome to my noontime broadcast on this Wednesday at 12 noon. Thank you for joining me wherever in the world you may be, in Greystones or beyond. And thank you for... So I know some of my friends in America watch this, and I just want to say hi to you and thank you for joining me. Thank you for the comments that you make as well. Anyway, today we're thinking about, well, I wonder what we're thinking about. What does this and this have in common? What does this and this have in common? Well, we're going to think about that. Today we're going to think about football. Now, I don't want you to stop watching. We're going to talk about the Euros that happened recently. There'll be some of you who are not football fans. But this isn't primarily about football. Something much deeper, but we're going to start off by thinking about football because the Euros did happen. There'll be lots of people who would have watched the Euros, a very important football championship. And I didn't really watch any of it except for the final. Because in the final this year, just last weekend, was England and Italy. Even if you're not a football fan, you'll probably know that because it's been on the news all over the place. England v Italy at Wembley in London. It was going to be an amazing match. For those players who play in the team, it was going to be the pinnacle of their career to represent your country at international level in a major championship in the final. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that, does it? What a privilege. What a privilege to represent your country. And all that training, all that talent that those players had culminated in that match last weekend, playing for your country. It would be a dream. They were living the dream. It was the dream come true. And against Italy, such an amazing team as Italy. And to play at Wembley, because the last time they played at Wembley was in 1966 in a final. They hadn't played in a final in all those years. And here they were, since 1966, the expectation was very, very high. They had high expectations. The country did. All the pundits did. The news media everywhere were saying football is coming home. It's coming home. It all looked so good. When they won the World Cup, it was at Wembley against West Germany. And here, last weekend, it was going to be at Wembley against Italy. Surely they were going to bring football home. Surely all those years of heartache were going to be brought to an end. Surely they were going to win. There was high expectation, and they went into that match. Would it be a defining moment for them, for English football? A real defining moment. The match kicked off. England scored first within the first 2 minutes. It was an immense start. It was the best start ever. A wonderful cross from Kieran Trippier, and it was a half volley by Luke Shaw. A really good goal. They were 1-0 up. Who could believe it? What a start. The second half came. Italy were in the ascendancy. England just didn't play at all. Italy were the better team by far. You just knew Italy were going to score, and Italy scored. Full time. It went to extra time. 2 periods of 15 minutes each. And England played much better, but still didn't really look like they were going to score. And at the end of the extra time, they were still locked in 1 goal each. It would go to the dreaded penalties. Each team would take 5 penalty kicks. England had lost out many times on penalties before. Hopefully this wasn't going to be a bad sign for them. But the kicks were taken, for they wanted to win. Do you know Bill Shankly, who was a very famous football manager who managed Liverpool Football Club? He once said, when you're first, you're first. When you're second, you're nothing. And that's kind of the feeling in sport, isn't it? No point in getting to the final if you don't win. Nobody remembers who comes second in a race. Only people remember the winners, the gold medalists, the achievers. Nobody remembers the runners-up. It's a hard place to be. Thinking about a different sport, but another one with a ball, but with a different shape of a ball, rugby. There's a guy called Johnny Wilkinson. I was reading an interview by Johnny Wilkinson. Now, years ago, Johnny Wilkinson was the golden boy of rugby. He played number 10 for England. He was an immense player, a fantastic player. And he played in the 2003 World Cup for England. And again, they got to the final. It was against Australia. They played the whole match and they were locked together in a draw. They went to extra time and it could barely break the stalemate. And with only seconds to go, the ball came out from the forwards. It was passed to Johnny Wilkinson. He saw the posts in front of him and he took a drop kick and the ball sailed through the air and went between the posts. Such elation. England had scored. England had won the World Cup in rugby. Wow, there was jubilation. It was just immense. But Johnny Wilkinson, reflecting on that afterwards, said this: if you're grounded, it's amazing. But if you don't have your feet planted in something deeper, then it can leave you thinking, what is going on? Interesting that, isn't it? If you're grounded, to win is amazing. But if your feet are not planted in something deeper, you end up thinking, what's going on? Johnny Wilkinson felt like that for a long time because all his success didn't bring him the feeling, the outcome that he expected, that he was looking for. He was always looking for something different because he knew himself that his feet were not planted in something deeper. So it was for England last weekend. England lost the penalty shootout. Italy won. They were jubilant. They were elated. Football was not coming home to England. Football was coming Rome, as some of the commentators said. It was going to Italy. England were completely dejected, especially the three guys who missed their penalties. They were inconsolable. And we all know of the fallout of that in recent days because of that. And some terrible things happen. You know, domestic abuse rises when England plays. It rises by 28% when England win, and it goes by 38% when they lose. Domestic abuse rises. All that high expectation, all the stuff that goes on, all the yuckiness around that. But Johnny Wilkinson's words remain: if you're grounded, to win is amazing. But if your feet are not planted in something deeper, you end up feeling empty, disillusioned. And that's when you win. Think about what it would have been like if his kick hadn't have gone through those posts, if he had lost. We're standing here beside an anchor. Anchors, as you know, are used by ships. They're dropped in the ocean. They go down to the ocean. They're usually made of metal, and this one is, and it needs a coat of paint. But they go down in the ocean to keep the ship steady when the seas are rough or when the winds are blowing. Anchors are really, really important. Here is an anchor. Doesn't that remind you of a hymn that we often sing? A hymn that we often hear? Will your anchor hold in the storms of life? When the clouds unfold their wings of strife, when the strong tides lift and the cables strain, will your anchor drift or firm remain? And then you know the chorus, don't you? We have an anchor that keeps the soul steadfast and sure while the billows roll, fastened to the rock that cannot move, grounded firm and deep. Where? In the Saviour's love. You know, sport is great. It can bring great highs and great lows, but it should never define who you are, whether you win or whether you lose. Our feet need to be planted in something deeper. For sport is sport. Whether you win or whether you lose, whether your career goes well or whether it doesn't, whatever might be happening in your life, we mustn't be defined by it, but rather we can be defined and find our identity in Jesus himself. He is the rock on which we stand, the rock that will not move. He is like that anchor. We have an anchor that keeps the soul steadfast and sure, no matter what's happening in life, while the billows roll. fastened to the rock that cannot move, grounded firm and deep in the Saviour's love. Wherever you are today, however your life may be going, whether you're a winner or a loser, whether things are good or things are difficult, the important thing is we have an anchor. You've got an anchor. We're not defined by our wins and our losses, our successes or our failures. We are defined by the God who loves us and gave himself for us. He is our anchor in the storms of life. Everybody faces storms in life. No one gets through it unscathed. But we have an anchor. That anchor is Jesus, and he is with you today. It is my prayer for all of us that as we go through today and as we live our lives, as we live this journey, as we play this game, that we will know him, be defined by him, find our identity in him, and be strengthened through him. That is my prayer for you. So thank you for joining me today. Hope you have a wonderful day, whatever you do. It's the most lovely day here in Greystones. Hope it's beautiful wherever you are. So until I see you next week, I'm going to leave with a lovely view of the anchor and of the sea. And until then, be blessed.